Hi, this is TK.
And I'm Andrea.
And we're with the Reebok Boston 10k for women.
And this is our golden hour.
Oh God, what's going on? Where am I going? Dad?
Yes, my son. I am Deuce, the deer god.
I'm so confused. Who am I?
Derek. Your true name is Dercules. Dercules.
Wait, what?
Yes. You are Dercules, the god of the forest. Season 5. Hosted by your favorite podcast host, Big Bochi. You already know the deal, mother. What's up? So just like that, the clap signifies the start of an episode. But
Awesome.
Before we begin, everybody calm down. I am Conor Holway of the Golden Hours podcast, and if by chance you're listening, one, I'm a really good guy, and I appreciate everyone that came here today. Two, if you get any sort of value from this episode, whether you learn something, you're entertained, you think something's interesting, just share it with a friend. That's all we ask. And before I introduce our guests on the right, everyone introduce themselves.
Yo, Big Fresh checking in.
Yes, sir.
Joe Leclerc checking in.
My guy, Joe. Thanks for making
It is Dan Sorrow here.
the two guys who made it happen. You took a risk on me. I won't let you down, I promise. And so, before I introduce you guys, I don't think, is everyone aware of how this kind of went down? I was just like totally on one of your coworkers behind for like months. I don't know how many emails. Am I saying her? Is it Kristen or Kirsten? Kristen. Yeah. Dude, I must have sent her like 30 emails. She was probably like, this kid is so annoying. But I think it transpired that you guys were like, well, you know what? Well, we have this big event coming up, so let's give it a try. Let's set it up.
Let's do it.
And you guys are in full marketing mode right now, right?
Well, we're in
yeah.
full everything mode.
2 weeks out, or a week and a half.
No, not enough days.
Not enough.
Not enough days.
So, on my right, and the camera's left, right? Is that how it works? I have Andrea from Reebok and TK from Conventures. Mm-hmm. Can you guys, well, one, thanks for coming. Two, can you give a quick synopsis of who you are and what you do?
Andrea, you go
Sure.
first.
I work on the global event marketing team at Reebok. So our team really handles all of the different events that kind of come through the building, internal, external facing events, local community facing events, you name it. We kind of get pulled in from all different departments at the company to help planning, logistics, and marketing of the events for Reebok.
That was wildly professional. We got some professionals
What
on
can
the
I
show
say?
today.
And I work, my name's TK. I work for a company called Conventures, and we do special events and some marketing and, digital media and communications campaigns around town, but mostly events. So whether it's an indoor fundraising dinner for like hundreds of people, or an outdoor festival, or road race, or some sort of a party, or a series of events. Sometimes we help out with that, and then in often cases, every event needs a marketing and communications campaign to support it. So we're often doing a lot of that work.
So
And then in some cases, we get picked up just to do marketing and communication support for certain people.
So are you traditionally on the marketing side or the planning side of the event?
I'm mostly on the marketing side of it, but we have a whole team of people who are good planners, good
task force.
doers. Yeah, and so I think that we all mold into event producers at a certain point. I think that's kind of what makes our group special, is that we have a couple specialists, but everyone on the team plays a certain role and can can play multiple positions as an event comes down and gets in.
Well, that's what Dan, what you were saying beforehand. Like you guys, what's interesting to me is like being in a more corporate structure that you guys still wear a ton of different hats when it comes to events. I feel like most people would think that like, oh, you're like the global specialist, so you're dealing with brand strategy on a global level. But Reebok said to you like, hey, I want you to come plan this thing.
Yeah, so
Can you just grab that and bring it a little closer to you?
yeah, for sure. Is that better?
Yeah, it's great.
Cool. Yeah, so we obviously handle all of the larger, more globally focused events and some of the larger consumer-facing events that we do. But when it comes down to events internally and then events community-based, we are the experts in the building when it comes to the logistical execution of events. So when we have the ability to do other things in addition to the larger scale stuff, we definitely offer our support to other departments within the company. So I work closely with our corporate communications team to do all of the kind of local calendar of events and help figure out how we're going to pull those off.
What is Reebok's biggest global event? Because how big is this event going to be, the 10K? Like people-wise?
We'll have between 3,000 and 4,000 women and
Running.
Yeah, and then thousands others of fans and followers and supporters and just people walking by who want to scope it out. So,
Dude, are you just exhausted?
no, did I sound it? No,
Well, I mean, you guys are like, this is what we were talking about. Mind you, I've thrown successful events. I've also thrown terrible events. I threw an awful launch party once. Do you guys know Town on Boylston Street?
Yeah.
Dude, I threw one of the worst parties of all time there because I was like, it's a good pitch. It's a bunch of college kids are going to want to get drunk. It's like the middle of summer. It's a great spot. I didn't even mark it. I thought it was going to be a bucket. Terrible. Yeah. But one thing that all event planners and people in events have in common is they love feeding off the chaos.
Oh, yeah. Love the chaos.
Yeah, and you react. Like our president says that event production is 50% planning, 50% reaction. So like things are going to come up, things are going to change. You've got to move on the fly sometimes. But I mean, it sounds like a lot. Thousands of women and thousands more coming in to watch it and cheer and all that stuff. But we're both backed by really good teams. I think the Reebok team, Reebok's got a big team committed to supporting this event. Conventures has its entire staff that will, in one way, shape, or form, help produce the event that the company's been producing for many years now. But it would be overwhelming if it was just a couple people putting it together. I mean, there are very talented people who can pull off big, complex events by themselves or with a few folks. But when you're dealing with multiple municipalities and the closing of public streets and the fulfillment of a myriad of sponsor deliverables, you've got helicopters in the sky going live on the news. Like, you need a good team for something that size, and we've got that. And I think we also have great support from Reebok. I mean, they help make it all happen. Yeah.
So for reference, before we move on, Conventures is you guys were hired as like a third-party planning company for the 10K.
That's how it works for a lot of our events. But
I'm just trying to simplify it for the audience.
Yeah. So as an event planning agency, Reebok could hire us to help them plan a launch party or a year-long campaign or whatever. But in this case, Conventures actually invented and started this all-women's 10K in 1977. It was the second longest running all-women's sporting event in the United States.
Tufts used to own it?
It's always been owned by Conventures. So Conventures started it, owns it, operates it, and then the Tufts Health Plan sponsored it in a title sponsor capacity for 33 years, which is like awesome. And before that, it was Bonnie Bell, which is a makeup company or something like that. I don't know. They did a lot of lip smacker. I don't know. Before my time, I'm not into lip smacker these days.
Before mine.
So then Reebok jumps on last year, which is great because Reebok's got such an endemic. It's just such a good fit because Reebok has such a commitment to Boston and to women into running, and like
And it's Reebok, man.
Totally.
It's like the
totally. And there are
home run brand, baby.
there are neighbor in the Seaport, but like it just makes sense. I mean,
the offices are right next to each
yeah,
other.
yeah. I mean, listen, we would love to team up with like a Liberty Mutual or a global finance company too. Like that would be great, but there's less of a endemic.
Sounds boring.
Well,
Like if Fidelity sponsored
Hey.
the race, but if they cut in the check,
Yo.
they cut in the check.
yeah. Listen, their value can come in different ways.
Exactly.
But if there's, but yes, for some of those companies, it does make sense. But for Reebok, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it definitely, what TK said is exactly the reason why our team got involved. Was it hits a lot of boxes for us. So like, we've always been a brand that's been focused on women. It's a women's 10K. We're a fitness brand, and we're in the running space. It's a race.
It's a home run.
It's in our local community, and we are constantly trying to do events that make sense from our brand standpoint, but also support the local community in Boston, because that's where our office is. It's our home. It's where all of our employees work and live. So it just made so much sense for us to get involved, and it went off really well last year, and we're really looking forward to this year. I think it's gonna be awesome.
So for you as am I saying the title right? Global strategist?
Global event marketing manager.
Boss, marketing guru. So how does your strategy change when you're marketing something on a local level as opposed to the global level? Because I'm sure the promotional strategy is much different when you're trying to connect with people in Boston as opposed to people in Europe.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, in the case of the 10K, a lot of the actual marketing is done by Conventures, because we're the sponsor, but obviously we have our own strategy of how we want to show up on race day, and our physical presence for the runners when they're picking up their bibs, how we're showing up in our store locally. I think the difference between a global marketing strategy, and our local strategy is, when we're talking about marketing our products and our brand globally, it really is across all forms of media, right? So like, we're doing ad campaigns, we have our social media handle. We, are working with different media agencies to do, write articles and cover events that we're doing. In-person events are also, a big thing for our global strategy. But for our local strategy, I feel like it's really primarily focused on live in-person events. Because we want to engage the community. It's more of that like experiential, interactive marketing strategy when we're doing things locally in Boston, because we're physically here. We can actually pull off kind of those types of things here. Whereas it's hard to create like, a year-long campaign where you're popping up in all different cities and stuff like that. So we pick and choose like larger consumer-facing events that would, show like a bigger mass, right, for our global, like when we're talking globally. But for Boston, it's an easy thing for us to get involved in things like the 10K. Yeah, for sure, yeah. And
so do you, outside of the 10K, what other events have you guys done in Boston as of recent?
So we're involved in the Harpoon 5 Miler. We're the title sponsor for that race.
And they're right in the Seaport too, right?
They're our neighbor as well, yeah. So that's,
you guys are
again,
smart, man.
a no-brainer.
Makes business easy, right?
Yeah, we walk over to Harpoon for our meetings.
Does Harpoon sponsor the women's 10K too?
They're
Not
not
yet.
involved.
Make the call, TK. Come on, man.
Hey, we got the hookup, so.
No, actually, we've talked to him, and hopefully we can make something happen in 2020. We, when you deal with a big public space like the Boston Common, there's
booze and liquor licenses.
Well, you just got to really
like
do it the right way and be careful with it. And if you're going to do it the right way. But for a long time, beer and road racing didn't really coexist. But what we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years is there's more of an overlap. It's
people want to drink after the race, right?
Yeah, it's the reward. So we think there is space for it, and I think it's something we've already started talking about for 2020. Yeah.
Okay. So outside the 5K.
So there's also another event that's kind of in our neck of the woods. It's the Waterfront Fit Fest. It's put on by the McCourt Foundation. We've been involved in that for the past few years, and that's again like I think it's a 5K race and a little bit of a festival. It takes place usually on Father's Day weekend, so it's a big family event, and that's right literally in our backyard, like behind our building. It takes place at Black Falcon Cruise Terminal. We're have a presence at the Mass Conference for Women. So again, that women's tie-in is important to us. I'm forgetting the rest of the ones that we've worked on. We work with our neighbors, the IDB, on some of their events. Their 100th anniversary we were involved in. Ad Club. It was a conference at the convention center. So like a lot of things in the Seaport, kind of in our neck of the woods, so that we can tie it back to our global HQ and our store. That usually makes sense. Sometimes we bring people over to our gym and have them do like a fitness experience with us. We deck them out in product.
You guys didn't come through with gifts. What's your deal, man? I know you got warehouse of stuff. I came through repping my gang today, man.
Hey, don't speak too soon, Conor.
A business card? Thanks,
No,
Joe.
a gift card.
Oh, gift card. My guy. Thank you. Well, we got to get Big Fresh. What did you wear today?
Some Adidas.
Yeah, so I didn't know Adidas owns Reebok.
They do, yeah.
So you guys are cool with Adidas.
Yeah, we're cool.
So-
They're our like brother brand.
Have they always owned, or like did you guys get acquired at some point?
Yeah, we got acquired
2005.
2005.
Why don't people know that? I feel like everyone, or maybe people do.
I would say I get like a large majority of people who know, and then a small quantity of people who weren't completely unaware.
So you're calling me stupid.
Not necessarily.
No, I think from an outsider perspective, I think it was probably very clear from the point of the acquisition that the brands were going to continue to exist independently. Reebok had created its own DNA and evolved it, I think, into this CrossFit space, and will
UFC and
fighting. It's sort of
fighting.
evolved in this different thing. And I think that's one of the things that Adidas really valued was like, actually, no, I don't know. I'm speaking for people.
That's
it's totally
totally
speculative.
accurate.
Kind of like, I'm assuming kind of like Audi and Volkswagen. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, we're going to own you, but your brand you have such a distinct brand identity that keeps it that way.
Right. It's we operate as two individual brands, and we all ladder up to the same kind of overall core values and mission, but we individually have, we focus on fitness, they focus on sport, and there are different kind of goals for each individual brand. So it's an interesting relationship too, and I think there are ways that that we're starting to collaborate with them. Like we're dropping a
sneaker.
Yeah, that's a collaboration
Fresh.
between
It's sick.
Reebok and Adidas. And I think that's the first time that we've done that. So that's, a new thing that we're starting to do, because why not? Why would we not collaborate with the brand that, is our parent company? So it's
sneaker
cool.
is awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool sneaker.
Do you guys get like early like product releases? Are you guys able to actually no?
I mean, I think from an events perspective, like we're not super close to product. The teams that work on product usually are the ones who end up with.
But they want to make sure you're swagged up, right? I'm sure you guys get like bags of stuff every month, or do you guys get an employee discount?
No, well, we get an employee discount for sure. We get 50% off, but we have like sample sales every 6 months where like all the samples that from the last season are no longer needed, and so we can like purchase them for like a discount. So that's a good way to stock up on product, but we don't necessarily get like free stuff.
Someone hit the CEO. That's BS, man. What's his name? Matthew O'Toole. Wait, so it's
the new employees get.
Yeah.
They give them. They make sure that they have enough product to start
Right.
their kind of career with us. But we, along the way, if you've been there long enough, you acquire a lot of product. I have a lot of Reebok shoes.
yeah. I'm sure your closet's all Reebok.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Probably, yeah, at least so.
And so what was funny before we had got on air is you guys said it's totally frowned upon if you walk into the office and you don't have Reeboks on.
Definitely frowned upon.
I would guess.
Yeah.
It's
It's brand loyalty.
I try to have every time I come visit you guys. I try to.
We got them on right now.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
we are all decked out.
Let's go. Do you know the name of those models?
I don't know the name of this model. You know, this Reebok. They have they churn out great new stuff every.
It's because they're cutting the check, TK.
Yeah,
Come on.
no, that's true. But that's really, to be fair. I actually think I sort of became a runner 7 or 8 years ago, and I was always running in Adidas shoes actually, and the more I got into it and was looking at different shoes, the more I started to understand the differences and the nuances that go into each. And I look at, when I walk into the Reebok store now, they've got the full roster of footwear that you need. They've got like super lightweight things for people who are looking to do like speed work, and all these different builds and models for different types of like foot impact, like how your foot hits the ground, what type of runner you are. They've got a full portfolio. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I feel like the Reebok running portfolio has in the last 5-10 years is like really expanded.
Yeah,
it looks,
for sure.
I mean, you won Runner's World, like best shoe of the year, I think last year.
Here's
here's
the corporate communications.
Yeah.
Listen to the plug here. Here we go.
No, but I feel like objectively as they can be, I do feel, and I tell people this all the time, that the Reebok footwear in running has like really stepped up in the last 10 years.
Well, nothing is touching the Reebok Classics for me. Like, I love the Classics. I love the gum bottoms. I think they're great.
Yep.
And they're not expensive. Like $80.
Yeah.
And if you go to the Assembly Row location, I don't know if you guys have been there recently, they're running like crazy sales over there.
Yeah. No, our like classic shoes are, they've been iconic to the brand since the very beginning, and they're definitely still considered iconic, and they're still definitely something that is a huge focus for our brand. Like, I'm wearing Club C's today. These are definitely an iconic style, and I wear them pretty much like every day because they're just easy. Like classic leather, white classic leather with a gum bottom, like you can put it with anything.
Fresh.
You could wear it to dinner, like you could
Well,
dress
depends
it
where you're
up,
going,
you could dress
Andrea.
it down. I feel like
Where are you going to
I
dinner?
roll in with sneakers like anywhere.
Yeah, I feel like Andrea can pull it off.
That's if you're going to the Barking Crab or the Shaking Crab.
No, I'm telling you, you can dress
Is
up
that
a
is that
pair
what it's
of
called?
Club
Barking
C's.
Crab?
Barking Crab.
You like it over there, DK?
It's TK's spot.
I mean, I've been there a couple times. It's an icon, that place.
Yeah, it is an icon.
It's awesome.
That place was Seaport before there was Seaport.
That's when
true.
Seaport was just a parking lot.
That's correct.
That is true.
How crazy is how much Seaport's turned out?
Hey, man, but there's still the Barking Crab.
Andrea, how old are you?
29.
Okay, word. So I'm 23, but we were like, Seaport in the past even 2 years has turned into this megaplex, and it's only getting crazier.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean, when I was in college, I went to Northeastern. Seaport was a parking lot, and it had Atlantic Beer Garden and Whiskey Priest, R.I.P. Because those
That
are
was the
gone
spot?
now. That was the spot, but that was like the only spot in addition to Barking Crab. And now it's like those places are gone. High rises are up. It's a whole.
It's all blue glass.
Yeah,
Corporate, PwC, PTC.
very corporate.
Do you guys like working in the Seaport?
I
Does it
do.
feel busy
Yeah.
to you?
Yes.
Well, we're all the way down,
Yeah,
like
we're sort
in
of-
our own
The
little
dry dock,
world.
right?
Yeah, dry dock, which is it's a cool area, and we have like our own little like world there. We have like all our food vendors and stuff because it's kind of far, like from everything else. Like
It
you
is.
can't really like you have 20 minutes to grab lunch. Like by the time you walk down,
You
to
can't
see,
go to that
no,
Chipotle and
no,
come back, no.
No, that would probably take like 45 minutes. So we have like our own little world down at dry dock, which is nice, and there's like so much going on down there because there's so many companies in that one building, and then Conventures is in like down slightly further from the IDB.
Yeah, we're just like a little closer to Europe, so it's like the next stop. We're like really at the end of the pier, but it's for us to get to like where the courthouse is and that part of the Seaport, like where that Shake Shack is and all that. That's a mile away, so
Yeah.
So you guys are tucked out of the real.
we're kind of tucked into our own little nook of the Seaport, which
Little
is
world.
Yeah.
which actually is awesome.
It's
where all these
kinda
big
nice.
business deals are going on.
Yeah,
Down by the dry dock.
exactly.
Sounds like a mob story.
Where they film the movies, man. No. But it is nice because actually I feel like it's a little less traffic
It
at our
is.
end.
Unless there's a cruise in town, because then
Oh, yeah, then
it's
it's
a
bananas. We've
We
and
hate
this
the cruises.
We have 3 cruise ships a day, man. I guess it's cheaper.
Why would you want to cruise to Boston?
Well,
No, they're cruising. I mean, they're leaving from Boston. They're cruising to like Bermuda.
Still, just
Yeah.
like if you're
I
on a
know.
cruise, go to Miami.
no,
like,
I
go to
know,
the Caribbean.
but these people want, everyone wants to see the foliage, which is starting to kick in, and it's like,
why? I mean, maybe because we grew up here, but it's like it's just the trees, man.
True.
no, it's because you grew up here. People go mental for this. They love foliage, man. I
I
don't know.
don't get it. I've never-
Boston is a tourist destination.
Yeah. And hey, in the event space, we
You market
work with
that.
the hospitality industry all the time. And
Yeah.
they, I was sitting next to a woman this morning I asked her, why do the cruise ships not come in July and August, but September and October? And she's like, well, it's a little bit more, Boston's a little bit more affordable, I guess, at that time.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I guess it's a little more scenic, but dude, like people are really heavy on Boston tourism and like the Revolutionary Trail and all this stuff. How many facts could you really name about the Revolutionary War right now?
More than I
Minimal.
I could probably do a couple.
Like,
Actually, no.
I'm not gonna.
do you know
lie.
what Paul Revere's job was?
Silversmith.
He was a bum. I don't know, like he was literally a bum, and he somehow was gifted like the info that the British were coming, and now he's a legend. He didn't even fight in the war.
I mean, this might be a different episode sometime, but I think he was pretty heroic. I don't know.
Yeah.
TK, I could literally tell you. Let's say that like there was someone
Yeah.
intruding on us. I could be like, yo, TK, dude, don't tell anyone, but like, yo, the British are coming. And you could literally just go, yo, the British are coming, man.
Uh-huh.
And then you'd be a
There'd
war
be a
legend.
statue.
It's fine.
You'd
TK
have a
flexing,
statue, yeah.
Boston
Fine.
Common.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, hey, right time, right place. I don't know.
Maybe after this race, you'll get a statue.
I don't know about that. I think we're a few years away from a stat. Let's get through our 50th road race, and
yeah,
then let's get through our 100th road race, and then maybe we can talk about statues.
Hey, okay, yeah, I want a quick segue here. So, why is the race exclusively for women? Like, is it just like celebrating women, or is it women with certain conditions? And can you give a quick synopsis of what the race is so you guys can get your plug
Yeah,
off?
so it's a 10K road race. It starts and finishes at Boston Common, and it has pretty much since 1977 when the race first started. So there was not, there's a longer history here about running and distance running in particular being a men's only thing. Like, you go back to the 1908, 1912 Olympics, like these reports of women not being able to run the 200 meters and falsified reports in some cases that like they were exhausted and women shouldn't be doing this type of physical activity. And then you fast forward it to the 1960s where women started to break into the marathon. Okay, fine, but they're still in a men's thing. Like in many cases, women weren't allowed to participate in an all men's distance event. It wasn't just like it was frowned upon. It was like it was common knowledge at the time. Like, oh, well, women can't run distances. And women were like, actually, we can, and it's totally safe, and we should.
Women are like, dude, let's race.
And in the 1970s, it really became more common to see women in races all the time. But then in the late 70s, there was going to be a series of races just for women. And Boston became one of those locations. There was one in New York, and the next one was in Boston. And it was a series at the time. But I think New York and Boston are the only two that have been annually running every year as an all women's race. Now, it's not exclusively women. It's not like we can ban men from the race.
But you guys aren't marketing this to men, right?
No.
No. I mean, definitely there, from a Reebok perspective, like our CEO encourages men to like run the race in support of, their female counterparts. And so we definitely get like Reebok men signing up for the race and
Like employees.
Yeah. So we have, I think, like 150-ish employees running, and a chunk of those are men. And it's definitely something that comes from Matt, our CEO.
Yeah, you guys aren't trying to exclude dudes.
Right,
but
exactly.
But honestly, it's the 10K for women. This race is for women.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if
Just
you-
like
like
if we
our-
ran like a
and-
podcast race, the race is just for podcast hosts,
Yeah, and I don't think like if you finish as the first man and you're like maybe 200th overall, It's not like you're going to get like an award or something. And maybe this is discriminatory. I don't know, but like we don't do anything for the men who run the race. They get a shirt, they get they get a participatory experience, a medal, just like everybody else.
What if a man shows up and like goes way too hard and like beats all the women? Like what would the procedure be?
Well, first of all, he wouldn't beat the women that we have because we've got world-class women coming in from all around the world who are so good. I mean, we're talking Olympic, World Championships level. So if you had an Olympian World Championships level man come into the race,
Yeah, like a Boston Marathon winner type.
let's
hope
first
that
of all,
doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, I don't think it would. But I don't think it would. But it would. He would be like, why would
Why
you do
would
that?
you?
Like all of
Oh,
us.
this is just a hypothetical,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Don't worry. I don't think it's gonna happen.
No. I could see myself tackling some guy with like one block.
You should
Getting
clothesline
him
him.
getting him
This
off
is
the
not
race.
happening.
Yeah.
But like our presence on site on race day, so like we have a 40x40 tent for that's like a Reebok tent. And when we think about like what that presence is going to look like, we definitely think it from like, a female perspective. Like what are the women that are running the race going to be wanting to see, or what's going to resonate with them? And that's kind of what guided how we craft like what that physical presence will look like. Are we not selling any men? Like we have a retail presence, a small retail presence. The majority of the product is women's product, but are we not bringing, a sweatshirt and a pair of track pants to sell to the men who might be coming to either run or support, the people that they have running the race? There's definitely a lot of like friends and family and people who are just there to support. And so we're not, even though our presence is focused around women, it's not, excluding the male consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think it has to be defensive about it. It's like the 10K for women. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
We're in a position now too where we're on our 43rd year. So now, like, not only do we have mothers who run with their daughters, we've had that for many years, which is great. But we've got a few grandmothers who run with like their granddaughters and their mothers as well. We're spanning like 3 generations now of women who started to run this race in the 70s and 80s, and their daughters who ran it in the 90s and at the turn of the century, and now like their young daughters are joining them as well.
Is the race more celebratory now, or is there still a competitive aspect to it, similar to the Boston Marathon? And you did some work for the Boston Marathon, or?
Yeah. So
I told you I was LinkedIn stalking.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I was at the Boston Marathon for 9 years, but this event has both of a competitive element and a celebratory element. Oftentimes this race is selected as the 10K national championship for women. This year it's not, but often years it is. And even in the years when it's not the national championship, we've got world-class women coming in to participate. Our prize money is very good. And we have some of the top.
How much does the winner make?
$9,000.
Is that like good for a 10K race?
Yes.
Because I ran the Chilmark Road race, and I placed like 2,000th, so I didn't catch any money, but I don't know how much they make.
Yeah.
Are you running it?
I'm not running.
TK, come
No,
on,
man. No.
Andrea, are you?
I'm not.
What?
We have a whole
you got-
slew of things that we're going to
She's
need to be
running it.
managing.
Yeah.
I'll be running in a different way.
That's right.
Your mind will be running.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Big Fresh, any questions, bro?
Actually, yeah. So, say I'm like an intern at either Reebok or Conventure, and I have this, or I think I have this great idea for a new event. What things are you looking for in terms of the value that event brings to potentially make a decision on whether to approve or like turn down that idea?
Big Fresh has been killing the questions recently. Dude, I
It's a good
fucking love
question.
you, man.
It's a good question. I mean, from the Reebok side, our events definitely come from, like, every department is trying to accomplish different stuff. So, like, it might be product driven, or it might be just about brand awareness, or, Joe and I are always, when we're working together on events for the Boston community, the first thing that we talk about is like, what is what are we trying to accomplish here? Like, what's the main goal? Like, you know, is it about community engagement? Is it about getting the word out about Reebok? Is it about retail? Is it about sales? So I feel like that's like the main thing that we would need to like determine in order to figure out if an event makes sense for something. Like, does it line up and does it ladder up to like the larger mission?
Yeah.
You know? So like if we were trying to push, like, let's just say like a specific product, like Aztrek, like that, and the event had something to do with Aztrek, then like no brainer, you know? But if the goal is to push Aztrek and the event is, you know, something completely unrelated, then like maybe it wouldn't be the right fit for that point in time.
What would be, like, let's say this event's over for you guys on the management side, operations side, marketing side, what would you deem as a success? Like, what do you want to get out of the event?
For the 10K?
Yeah.
Well, we want the women who come to have the best possible road race experience that they can have. So we introduced a new finisher medal this year. We've got a scenic, flat, fast course. We've got programming through the day in terms of like free classes. We've got an awesome swag bag of like stuff to get after the race in terms of like snacks and beverages. Where we've taken big steps in being a more sustainable race, which we know is important to our participants. So like
Elaborate.
we're just reducing plastic waste. So like
Economically sustainable.
yeah, like no, ecologically sustainable.
Environmentally
That's
sustainable.
correct. Yeah. So like road races in nature are waste generating events. Like people fly there, people drive there, people have to park, people show. I mean, running is a very healthy activity, and the sport itself is ecologically all good. But in some case, you know, when you bring everyone together,
There's a bunch of trash and stuff.
Yeah. So we're just looking to reduce the waste and have more things just be recycled and reused. So that's a big step. And I think that's to have that take steps in that direction is important for us. It's important for our participants. And at the end of the day, if all the women who come to the race leave with like, wow, that was so friggin' awesome and uplifting and inspiring and a great day, and I'm coming back to do it next year, like that's success.
How do you quantify that though? Like, how do you say, okay, like you guys all have these goals on like, okay, this is the race. This is what we want to get done this year. Like for you, would it be like, hey, we want the race to make more money this year. Hey, we want to have more participants this year. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, for Reebok, since we're the sponsor, you know, we obviously want like the overall race. Everything that TK said is obviously like we're aligned with those goals as well. Specifically for Reebok, like the sponsorship is about brand awareness and community engagement for us, and you know, the focus on women, so, and running. So like
and congruence with the brand, right? Like making sure that this race is totally reflective of what you're trying to get done at Reebok.
Right. And, you know, there's so many different ways to approach like how, you know, what we're pushing when we do these types of things. Like we could make it 100% about retail, and we could just set up a 40 by 40 retail pop-up shop. But does that really align with like what we're trying to do? Like this is not just about us making sales. Will we have like a small retail presence? Yes. Because we obviously it all goes back to the product, and like we want people to be able to like touch and feel our stuff, not just see like our logo and, you know, our presence everywhere, but then come into our tent and be able to pick up a pair of our float ride running shoes and see it and feel it and maybe go and buy a pair when they go home. But it's more about like the interactive experience with the brand that they have like throughout the course of the race and pre-race. So like bib pickup, they're coming to our store. Like we're giving them a discount coupon. Like there's going to be inspirational quotes leading them down from runners.
This.
So like it's all about like these different touch points throughout the course of the event.
It's an exercise in experiential marketing.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, I mean, you don't want to walk into their 40 by 40 tent and feel like you're in a in a Marshalls, like, and it's just
Yeah.
racks of
There's
clothing.
nothing wrong with Marshalls, TK.
There isn't. But when you come to an event like this, like they're giving away free smoothies in their spot, and they've got like really nicely built out things that are and places to sit and learn about the product, but learn about the brand, learn about its mission, and then maybe buy a sweatshirt, but maybe
snag some shoes.
maybe snag some shoes, but like maybe snag some shoes in 2 weeks because Reebok really made you feel good at that race,
Right.
and maybe become a fan for life because you had such a good conversation with someone that day in the Reebok tent. Like that's power, and that's where like Marshalls can't do that because Marshalls doesn't sponsor. Marshalls doesn't create experiences.
Dude, what's your
at
problem
events
with
like
Marshalls,
that. I don't
man?
know. Just because they're straight up retail.
And after you get those shoes, man, leave Conventures a good Yelp review, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Leave us on Yelp. No, but the that's it. And I think Reebok really sees that too. Like they want to help us create a cool experience because experience is marketing and eventually translates to sales. And Reebok sees that.
Quick segue to you as a Reebok employee. How is like the brand goal passed down? Like how do you know where Reebok wants to take the brand, and how do you map your actions towards that? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Because it's
that's a
such a
good
big
question.
company.
Yeah, for sure.
Like for instance, Golden Deer Productions right now is probably an 8-person company. So it's very easy for me to say, hey, Boo, listen, this is what we got to do to make this the biggest podcast in Boston. How do you position yourself? Like, and how do people say, hey, listen,
Yeah.
this is where we're going with this thing?
Yeah, so I feel like it kind of there's a bunch of different ways, and it kind of goes from larger meetings of the entire company. So that's kind of like the top level. So we have every maybe quarter, I think we have like town hall meetings where the CEO or any of the members of the senior leadership team get up and they talk about important priorities for the brand or where we stand with certain things.
Which is what right now? Like,
I mean-
what does Reebok want to do with the brand right now?
Well, I mean, that's kind of a tough question because it's kind of divides. We have performance, we have classics, but we're trying to be, like the best fitness brand. But we obviously have like divisions of that. We have the classics business, which focuses on fashion. We're doing a lot more like exclusive collaborations with like Victoria Beckham and Pierre Moss and these more like upscale kind of top tier designers. And that's kind of the focus of that area. And then on the performance side, it's about like fitness, but also making sure that like everyone doesn't just want clothes for fitness nowadays. Like they want clothes that they work for the gym, but they can also wear to the grocery store, and they can also wear like if they want to go grab dinner with their friends afterwards. So I feel like just in general, like it's a little tough to answer that
all good.
question.
Would you mind just closing those doors real quick? There's a guy here. He's painting here. You don't. Oh, okay. Joe's going to
paint.
Oh, yeah. You can just close the door. But so you guys as Reebok employees, it's like pretty well known. Hey, listen, we're trying to make this the biggest fitness brand in the world. Okay, so that's
the headline.
That's assumed.
Yeah. And then like as it trickles down, obviously like I fall under the marketing organization. So then our smaller subsection of the company, which is I think about 150 people who fall under marketing, will have smaller but not small meetings with the entire marketing organization, the head of marketing, and that in those meetings we'll go over the strategy, the marketing strategy, and then our director of our team will take that down a level and kind of lead us in the direction.
A lot of
A lot of
emails.
meetings. I mean, it's really not that many meetings, but it definitely is the main source of communicating to the larger group, and then having that trickle down the ranks.
So here's a question. We might cut this up as content because I think it's going to be good, but I could be wrong. So, mind you, I have thrown an eclectic mix of events. Some have been dope, some, as I had noted, have been not. But to throw in a successful event, you do have to have a certain entrepreneurial sense because you got to go. You got to do everything on your own. You got to execute. Is it tough doing it within a team and within a corporate environment? Or do you have leverage to go and go make a move happen?
Well, for Conventures, our founder, Dusty Rhodes, she started this company in 1977 and was a total doer. Just got up, got things done, and still to this day gets things done.
Her name is Dusty Rhodes.
Yes.
What
yeah.
a name.
What a name.
Whoa.
And one of the, she founded this event planning company on hustle, and grew it through hustle and attention to detail and professionalism and delivering results and probably many other characteristics that are terrific. And those trickled down through, having her with us like every day, leading certain meetings, leading certain clients is such a benefit. And I think that permeates into the staff. Like, we're all doers. That's kind of the vibe of the place, is like we're all executors and are going to get things done when we need to and pause when we need to, but and think strategically sometimes, but there's a time to move and get things done, and we've got great efficiencies in place to do that.
But you don't have to check in with anybody.
No. There's plenty of checks through the process.
Is that frustrating? Is it stifling in an event space?
It's actually reassuring because you're empowered as a junior person to go ahead, run. Like, we do first night in Boston, which is the big New Year's Eve celebration. And the woman who's running it is probably in her mid-20s, and she's empowered with really leading the logistics for it, but is totally backed by many others in the group. But she's running keeping the vendors in check and keeping the meetings on pace and keeping the venue and all the appropriate permissions in place. So, but she's a doer, but she's empowered by those around her through regular checks, verifications on things, and that's helpful. And look, I think in other organizations, it can be frustrating to want to go and have all this energy and idea and build something and invent something, and the strategic focus of the company might be a little different from that.
You feel that way too?
Yeah, I feel like...
Does what I'm saying make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. I feel like, I've been on the agency side, I've been in-house, and I think regardless of whether or not you're working with a client or you're working with internal stakeholders, there's an element of needing to check in and make sure that the ideas that you're running with are on track. When you're talking about kind of the larger overall creative vision and logistical kind of plans, when we're executing, when someone says, okay, we like the direction you're going in, then we don't really need to, we kind of run with that until we get to a point where it's then time to check in again. So it's not like every point you have to be checking in on every little decision that you make. I feel like at Reebok, our team is trusted as the experts in this event space. So, we'll get a brief from a team saying this is the thing, this is what we're trying to do. Help us pull it off. And we'll come up with a creative idea around it. We'll pitch it to them. We'll give them a few options. They'll decide what they like, and they'll give us the feedback of things that they would change or whatever. And then from that point forward, we're kind of running with it. Maybe we have weekly check-ins with them just to make sure that they're cool with what we're doing, but it's not
They're
stifling.
not hovering you, yeah.
It's not stifling at all. And I think with the nature of events too, we get briefed in all the time, 3 weeks out from an event that needs to take place, and it's high level, and we have to pull all these things off that normally you would need much more time to do. And in those instances, it's go and do whatever you need to do in order to pull
just
it
to
off.
get it done.
Yeah.
Okay. I got two questions. One, and this might be what we cut up for content, but so a lot of our content's tailored towards young, I don't want to say hustlers because it sounds corny, but young grinders in the city, right? Very quick synopsis from both of you. What things and characteristics do you need to throw? Actually, I'm going to rephrase this. Let's say there's an artist in the city he's a rapper who wants to throw his first concert, or there's someone who has a startup brand who wants to throw his first launch party for his product. what are the characteristics that make a good event? And how can people learn from your event? Oh, shit. One more time, Conor. Okay, let's say someone wants to throw a launch party for their brand. They have a side hustle in the city. They want to throw a launch party. What key characteristics lead to event success, and how can they apply it?
One part of it is a great list. So like, who are you inviting to this thing?
Yeah.
Where are you going to have it? So let's, like, you get a venue, you get a date that's going to work. Make sure it's not like on a 3-day weekend,
Or a
make sure it's not on a holiday or a holiday you might not know about. Check that out, right? Make sure it's on a good date. And then, like, who's your list? Who are your peeps? What is your tribe of people? Like, who are the people who you know, you're going to come, but then who do you want to come? Like, think about those lists and how you want to invite them. Make sure that you've got all the permission to use whatever venue you're going to use. Like, don't think you can just like go take over the back room of a bar or some park somewhere. Like, make the calls. Be a adult about it. Like, get the permission, get the permits, do the legwork, secure whatever you need to secure, and sometimes that involves some cash up front. But then grind it out to like get your list and your theme and your programming, and that's what I would think. But Andrea's the pro, really.
Question though, how important is having complete control over the scenario for event success?
In terms of like you're working with someone else, or
like you're the sole communicator with the venue, with the audience, with the performers, with the sponsors. How essential is that for one person to have an event success?
I don't feel like it's essential. I feel like it's essential for there to be one person who's the lead. So we always have like one person who is the main point of contact, but they might be working with 3 other people who you've divvied up the work so that it's not overwhelming for that one person to pull everything off. But those 3 people are in constant communication to make sure. And that person who's the main point of contact takes responsibility also over the action items of their counterparts to make sure that those people are pulling off what they're supposed to be pulling off. But and so from that perspective, you have control, but I don't think it's important that you're physically doing all the work yourself, as long as you're communicating with your team effectively.
So communication
is key. 1,000%. I mean,
you said that with conviction.
Communication is so important from an events perspective, because there's so many little details that go into events. And if you're not communicating, if you're not paying attention, that's when things fall through the cracks. And I mean, events, like I was talking to Dan earlier, and like what makes a good events person is someone, and TK said this earlier, someone who has the skills to plan something, but also can operate knowing that there's going to be things that arise, and how you handle the things that arise day of event, day before the event that you weren't anticipating. That is like how you handle that is super important.
Yeah.
Being able to adapt to like
getting
the
that flow
unknowns.
state.
Yeah, like the things that you it slipped your mind and you didn't plan for it, or it's torrentially raining and you never know, like those unknown scenarios. And that's what I think makes a good events person, is someone who can like pivot and find creative solutions on the fly. Because I don't think I've ever had an event that goes 100% smoothly.
No, there's no such thing as a perfect event. It's impossible. There's no such thing as absolutely
literally
perfect
there
flawless
isn't.
event.
Terrible.
You get
it
close,
doesn't exist.
and you can pursue it.
You guys
and
have
try-
any nightmares recently? Any of your events?
I mean, not nightmares. Dusty, she did an event one time at Franklin Park Zoo, and
gosh,
and there happened to be someone who had murdered a police officer on the run and was hiding in the zoo. She was just telling the story the other day. And as the board members are coming in for this foundation that's having this event, there's helicopters flying, there's SWAT teams out.
Yeah.
The woman from the board is like, Dusty, don't you think this is a little overkill for security? And she convinced the state police to allow the event to happen because they put all of the event guests in one of the animal enclosures.
Gee.
Oh
Without
my
the
God.
animal, but
Way-
like
way
they
to
moved
adapt,
the
though.
event
Yeah.
into like one of the enclosures where all the people were like inside and couldn't. I mean, wild. And really, when she's been doing this for 43 years, but so she's got a lot of stories like
Yeah.
this. And I think as we
Everyone has stories.
as we develop our careers,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
these stories are going to pile up. I mean,
Yeah.
rain's going to happen, snow's going to
Yeah.
happen, a performer's going to show up late
Or not show
or
up.
not show
Or
up,
show up drunk.
yeah, or show up drunk, and this stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things with every event that kind of keeps me up at night. Like, for sure, every event, there's like one thing that I'm like, if this happens, then I'm going to like lose it, you know? But
I'm going to demand a raise.
yeah, sure. But like, I think it just has to do with how you adapt to the scenario.
And also how you respond.
Yeah.
Like, meaning respond in the near term, but in some cases you have to respond, I think, like in the longer term. Like, hey, listen, guests, this is what happened. Thanks for bearing with us. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and like, we're not going to let it happen again.
Right.
And I think that voice sometimes, like, I mean, listen, when I was at the marathon one, like we got bummed, like we didn't plan on that. But I think that the way we handled it in the immediate moment was fine. But then I thought the way that we handled it in the weeks after was very good. I
Right.
thought that we did a good job with that as
Right.
best as we could. You
Right.
know?
Right.
And these things
What a
happen.
tough situation, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
I,
So
Yeah.
I the guy who wrote Boston Strong up on the show. He was like, "Oh my God, it's just like, who the fuck's gonna expect
Yeah.
something like that?"
but that's a great example of responding.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's some events where things like that happen, and it's a matter of, you know, it's a crisis scenario, and then it's how you react after the fact. But there's plenty of times, I mean, there's been plenty of events that I've done where something happens that you have the control to fix unbeknownst to the attendees or the guests. It may not have been your ideal way for it to have gone off, but no one notices because you were able to fix it and find an alternative solution. So like in that sense, like there's sometimes ways that you can find solutions on the fly that like no one would ever know because they didn't know what it was supposed to be.
You know
So-
what? I feel like every wedding I've ever been to has had a situation like that.
For sure.
Only the bride knows. They make a last minute adjustment.
Yeah.
And like they get stressed, but it all goes off great. I
Right.
feel like every single wedding I've ever gone to has had that narrative
Yeah.
play out.
Permeability.
Connor, wait till your friends start getting married, Connor. You'll start seeing all these things.
Dude, I don't want to talk about all this adult stuff. I know, Boo. Our friends are gonna be getting married pretty soon. You might be getting married pretty soon. Boo's got a new shorty. Whoa. Okay, last question from me. So, the Boston sneaker market. This is mostly for Andrea. The Boston sneaker market is actually wildly competitive. A lot of people don't really know that. It's like you have all the major sneaker brands
Oh, yeah.
here. You got New Balance, you got Puma, you got Reebok, you got Converse, there's Nike,
Saucony.
Saucony,
Asics.
York, Asics.
York.
Hey, York came up on the show. TK, don't be disrespectful.
Okay.
They're
I'm learning.
like a small startup
Yeah.
brand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning.
And hey, I know you guys are Reebok. The sneakers are really nice. Listen, but the Boston sneaker market, totally competitive.
Mm-hmm.
What is Reebok doing on a local level to differentiate itself and position itself in the competitive Boston sneaker market?
So, I mean, I think it goes back to like what we were talking about before. I mean, all of those brands that you list off, right? Like, I feel like we're doing a really good job of showing up in the community. And I feel like that's like number one, is making sure that like people know that we're here and know that we care about, you know, our community and that we're involved in the events that are taking place. I feel like not a ton of the brands that are in Boston do that necessarily. So I think having like a physical presence at events is, I think, our main priority in terms of being competitive in Boston specifically, because, you know, our sales goals are more more like market specific. So we're talking about like the US as a whole. We're not just talking about Boston. So it's less about that and more about making sure that people know that we're here and know what we stand for and like know what makes us cool and what makes us different. And that's mostly put out through
Events.
how we show up at events.
Well, so for instance, Reebok, you guys, there's been this cool trend now where sneaker brands will do deals with artists and rappers.
Mm-hmm.
What would it take for Reebok to consider sponsoring like a Boston artist? Because you guys have a deal with Lil Yachty and Cardi B.
Yeah. We have an entire like team that handles like our asset strategy. I'm not involved in how those are selected. I think there's a lot of thought that goes into like why someone would be signed to the brand and like how they align with, usually they're being signed to align with some sort of aspect of the brand, like whether it's a specific product that we're aligning them with, or like whether it's on the classic side or on the performance side of the business. So,
is it possible though?
Never say never. I know that we're doing like small, like there's, the Cardi B's and the larger big name artists that we sign, obviously. But then there are some like, second tier level people that we have on our roster who are like really cool and kind of in that like sub sneaker culture. If there was someone in the Boston scene that, lined up with what we were looking for, I don't see why it wouldn't be something that the brand would consider.
How was that for a question, Abu? Abu's a DJ in the city too, so he's well connected with Boston.
Do you have a
musicians.
DJ name?
Yeah, I go by Abu617.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it should be Big Fresh now. It should be Big Fresh.
Could be.
Hey, you guys killed it. You guys did a great job.
Thanks.
Did you guys have fun? 100%. I know you guys got a crazy day going on. Abu, any last questions?
No, I'm all set.
Okay,
that was
cool.
Really good. Thank you guys for being here.
Real quick, can you just give the event plug, what's going on, how people can get involved, where to find you, and then social media handles?
Sure. It is the Reebok Boston 10K for women. It's on Monday, October 14th at Boston Common. It starts at noontime. It is the largest all-women's sporting event in New England. Men are invited to come participate or volunteer or just cheer on or whatever. And you can follow the race. You can just, it's like RB 10K for women on Instagram and Twitter. And then on Facebook, it's Reebok Boston 10K.
What is your Instagram,
for
TK?
Women? It's TK Skindarian.
Let's go.
Pretty original. I mean, what's
TK.
your Instant Messenger screen name?
Big Bochi.
I'm just kidding. You don't have Instant Messenger, do you?
Oh, Instant Messenger?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Roll it back.
IM.
Yeah.
Why, you still on IM?
No, man. That's what we had.
I had it
a
too.
while ago. Yeah.
And
but then, Andrew, give us the Reebok.
There's a
social
Reebok Boston social?
No.
We gotta get that started, man.
I know, right? So we primarily lean on our like larger brand handles. So at Reebok, and then we have at Reebok Classics. Do we have a handle for the performance side? I don't. Just the Reebok one. So we have the Reebok handle, the Reebok Classics handle, which is more specific to that side of the business, and then we're gonna have a tent at the 10K. Come visit our store, 25 Dry Dock. Pick up some gear.
Great discounts at the Dry Dock store. You mentioned like assembly, but the dry, I mean, that's the hub. That's the Reebok
Dry Dock's
central nervous system.
Okay.
That's where you go.
Yeah.
And they got discounts there from time to time.
Does Conventures have gear?
Usually it's Reebok stuff.
Sponsored
but,
stuff.
No, we've got some stuff that we wear, but it's low key. I mean, we're not in the apparel space, man. We're in the event space.
Well, hey, the good news is I got some apparel to give you guys after this.
Nice. Are you gonna come volunteer at the 10K?
I don't think I'm gonna volunteer, but I'm gonna go.
All right, it's fun.
Wait,
Good.
so what is the route, real quick? Boston Common to
out to Mass Ave Bridge, then on to Memorial Drive in Cambridge with like a loop going east and then a big loop going west. And then you come back over the Mass Ave Bridge into Boston, take a left on Com Ave, and go all the way down to the public garden. You do a loop around that, and you finish on Charles Street in between the Common and the public garden. And
then you have an asthma attack.
no, then you go in, you get your finisher medal, you get your everybody water, you hit the Reebok tent and get hooked up with some gear and have like a good, and then we got like some music and great snacks and awesome award ceremony. So
What does the 2 weeks after the event real quick look like for you guys? You guys just gonna like relax?
Well, I would definitely say that I think everyone at Conventures and everyone on my team was working on multiple events at a time. So for us,
You're gonna party though after the event, right?
Yeah, maybe we'll like chill for like a day and then we'll get back into it because we have some other stuff coming up.
Nice.
That's coming down the pike real fast. So no rest for the wicked.
yeah, it's event season. So
Yeah.
September, October, like we got a real busy stretch. So it's like we'll have our feet up, but it won't be for another couple weeks or
Yeah.
months. Like it's gonna, like I'd say really November, December it quiets a bit, but
Yeah, December is when all event planners catch up on sleep.
Yeah.
No one plans events in December.
except for us, New Year's Eve, first
Okay,
night.
all right.
And Golden Deer, baby.
Golden Deer.
We got one here.
Hey.
I'm inviting all you guys.
Awesome.
I actually do plan on hosting a networking-esque event for people with startups in the city. So I'd love for you guys to come.
Cool.
We'll get Dan a couple drinks. You bring the Reeboks. Bring me some sneaks, man. Okay, so this is how we start and end the show. You gotta say hi, your name, and this is my golden hour. Directly after, no break, hi, your name, and that was my golden hour. Because post-production wise, we have the start of the episode and the
Okay.
finish. And I put your sauce on it. You know what I'm saying? This is
Yeah.
how everyone's gonna remember you. And this is today. Today marks 1 full year of the podcast. This is special.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you. I feel like it's been
Wait,
30.
All right, let
Say
me
it
try it.
twice.
Let me try it.
No, we don't. We do not do practice.
And do we look?
One take.
We're gonna slate.
Okay.
Abu, you want us on this one? Yeah. Hey,
Just
thank you
slate.
for your help.
This one?
This one.
Oh, it's
All
a
right.
video thing. Okay. Do we say it together or individually?
I mean, I already
no.
gave you the guideline. I cannot help you anymore.
Crowd.
You go and then I'll go.
All right. Hi, this is TK Skandarian, and that was my golden hour.
Blew it already, TK.
Why?
TK, it's a this is.
Oh, this is.
And I would say,
then-
hi, I'm TK. Then pass it off to Andrea. Andrea would say, hi, I'm Andrea.
Oh, perfect.
We're from
Okay.
the Reebok 10k, and this is our golden hour. Directly after No Break. Same thing, but not this is. It's that was.
Okay. Hi, this is TK,
Hi, I'm Andrea.
and this is our golden hour. Better?
No.
Yeah.
Redo.
Okay, we can do
Okay.
a redo.
We have to say
The event.
the event.
Yeah.
So you say the event and I'll say this is our golden hour.
We are in marketing here.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, this is TK,
And I'm Andrea.
and we're with the Reebok Boston 10K for women.
And this is our golden hour.
One more time. Hi, this is TK,
I'm Andrea.
and we're with the Reebok Boston 10K for women.
And this was our golden hour.
No, blew it, Andre. It's that was.
That was. Okay.
Don't
last
do part
time.
one. Just do part
Okay.
two. Just do part two.
Hey, this is TK,
Hi, I'm Andrea.
and we're with the Reebok Boston 10K for women.
And that was our golden hour.
And that was well executed. Abu, tell me when. 3, 2, 1.